All right, welcome to the FSOD Coach's Corner. We are just thrilled to have Coach Andrew Erby here for our, session this week. And Coach, I want to thank you for joining us. Obviously, it's the end of a long day and what have you, but talk a little bit about, what you're preparing for this week against Juniata.
Really this week is about cleaning up some things throughout our first 3 weeks, and our goal is become better individual football players, which will make us become a better football team. So a lot of cleanup, still working on our fundamentals, and we just want to improve from week to week.
Darryl, you got a question for Coach there?
Well, Coach, obviously, I've seen some of the things you guys have been doing over this summer, and how big was having that off season this year? Obviously, we knew during COVID it was tough, but how big was it having your off season program this summer, getting the guys ready for this upcoming year?
I would say it was huge because we played so many freshmen, and they really didn't have an off season. So they really didn't have an off season. They really weren't able to get in the weight room. They really weren't work on a lot of speed and agility. So I think this was really their first true off season. And we were able to, pick up some things, some strength, some size. So some improvements we need to make physically, mentally. We had the time to be able to do that this year, which was great.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, we'll know being big and then having your boys on the team, your son being a leader on that team. I've seen a lot of the things he's done this summer. Like he's always in the forefront. He's always putting work in, and that leadership, and obviously the community behind you guys. I think that's going to be big, obviously, as you go into this season, especially starting this week with this big game this week.
Absolutely.
Coach, it's not uncommon for head coaches to have their sons on the team. Tell us what some of the advantages of having your kids on the team are and some of the disadvantages.
I would say that the biggest advantage is just being around the game as little guys. Just seeing a lot of football, knowing enjoying it, and they end up getting it. They have the passion that I once had. So I think that's definitely advantage. I would say sometimes the disadvantage would be when things aren't going your way, and outcomes aren't the way you want them to be. Sometimes can be a little tough on kids, but I mean in this town, I think they clearly understand what the expectations are, and I think they're big part of the community and role models also.
Yeah, and you talk about expectations. It's always a special thrill for me when I have the opportunity to stand out on that field in Hershey and see guys that I know like you, and then ultimately have it, turn into success. But tell me a little bit about how, you know, you're driving this team, after attaining such success, last year, and in the fact that you've had 3 games this year thus far that you've pretty much dominated.
Absolutely. I think when it gets to this point, it just goes back to being humble, but just preparing from week to week. And there's always something in this game that you can improve on. So whether it be our fundamentals, whether it be our football IQ, whether it be our team culture, working on our core values. So we do so much more to try to prepare our program on and off the field, that I think it's an ongoing process, because even if we are a good football team, we can still become better young men. We can still be better role models. So just keep adding on to that, to our toolbox. And we have a great setting where we meet in the mornings for our team leadership. So we do strictly things to become better young men. We volunteer in the community, role models in the school. So we really set our culture, drives our program, and our student athletes that we have coming back are a young group, but they set the standard in the culture in our school building, where the expectations are we're going to have roller pride and we're going to give max effort.
It's awesome that you said that, because a lot of times if you have a situation where you're playing a team where the expectation of you guys winning are pretty high, having character. And one thing when I remember being at Syracuse, we used to always say football is life, everything else is details. And people used to hate hearing that. But accountability, doing things the right way. Again, as you know, football is just, you learn so much from football as far as discipline and structure and organization. So teaching those guys that stuff too, because again, when you get to the game, it's like, you're going to respect the game. Again, we're up 55-0. After the game, we're going to show respect to the other team, no matter what. Like when we're talking about the other team, no matter what the score is. And I think, and being around and understanding and seeing your program, that's what I've always gotten out of Steel High. You guys you're going to play hard, you're going to dominate, but then you're going to respect the game. And I think that's what a lot of people don't do. They don't respect the game. And I think that's why you guys have been so successful, obviously, with your leadership too.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. We want to come out and, our motto's been for the room. I mean, that's on the field, in the community, in the classroom, putting our teammates first and doing whatever we need to do to work together. So I think that's head on. We want to give max effort. I mean, we're small numbers, but we'll fight for our 4 quarters. But when it's all said and done, we want to learn from it, win or lose, and we just focus our motto on our effort, not necessarily winning and losing. We just want to give max effort and as a unit and do work to the best of our ability.
And I think too, just to piggyback on that point, with the schedule you guys play, so a lot of times you guys play up. So you'll play 4, 5, 6, 8 schools because of where you are. And I think every single year, I'm so excited because sometimes people look at your schedule or the record and it's like they're playing 5A teams and all that's doing is preparing you for the playoffs. And again, I know you'll never talk to playoffs because you'll talk to week 4, but like having tough games in a schedule also builds character. But would you say that also prepares you for things to come down the road?
Absolutely. You're going to get in those games where where your numbers may be low, but you'll face some adversity. And it's still high. The expectation is you're going to play all 3 phases for the most part. We'll have 1 or 2 lucky guys that that don't necessarily, we call them lucky guys, that don't necessarily have to play. But for the most part, when you strap on a helmet, you could be playing out of position at times. You could not leave the field, special teams. So we really take pride in being able to do that. And that's just a testament to what our off season has to be like. But it's also a little bit of grit and fight that comes from our town. And, we take pride in that, from passing that down from generation to generation in roller football, but stepping up and not coming off the field much.
Yeah, that just reminds me so much of, it's so very vivid in my mind. The first Steel High game that I was able to report on, it was down in Chambersburg. It was a freezing cold night. You guys, after a tough season, were up against Bishop Guilfoyle, who was on such a run. And, to see the attitude of you and your team, there was no, intimidation or what have you. Everybody, was kind of looking at your record and saying, oh my, but boy, I tell you what, that night, you earned my respect. I think you earned the respect of, obviously the team you faced. And that was just kind of a microcosm of, your program and what it stands for. And that is, playing hard, playing up, and size doesn't matter. You're going out there to play to win every night, regardless of who the opponent is. Talk a little bit about too, obviously this legacy that is Steel High. Does that sometimes get in the way of motivating these kids that they're thinking too much about, obviously, everything that's come before them?
I think we use it as a great coaching and great teaching point, because I think it's important that they understand what our tradition is. So every Monday, our core value is roller pride and effort. So we go back and we talk about former players. We talk about the band, the cheerleaders, just the culture, so that we're passing it down. I'll have alumni come in. So it gives us a great opportunity for our alumni and our guys who played and how important it is and what it means to them. So I think it's important to bond that. I mean, even with COVID, we had Zooms. So I think it's an opportunity to close the gap, and also for our players to learn, from previous players and how special it is. And I just think it's a great teachable moment, and to share our tradition so that they have understanding. That's a way we can pass it down from each team. So I just think that's another way, another nugget where our kids can learn from.
You know, the one thing that's kind of started to rear its ugly head here over the last few weeks as the season has gone on has been the COVID. Has that been surprising to you, that there's been so many games that have throughout the state and through District 3 here that have been impacted by COVID?
Not really. I mean, every opportunity we get from practice to the school day to being around each other, we just take it as really as a blessing because you never know. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where if we're fortunate enough to put on a uniform, it's a great opportunity. And I just think our kids really take it as a blessing. And I really try to preach that, even from year to year. There's some times where I wasn't a real big picture guy and all the extra stuff, but I mean, you only get one opportunity. So I think it's great for our kids just to enjoy yourself, whether you're coaching, whether you're the athletic trainer or whatever. If you're involved in this and you have an opportunity, take it as a blessing because you never know when it's going to go. And like I said, it's tough on these high school kids. So we just try to make the best of it every single day, whether it be practice, a walkthrough, a team meal. I mean, whether it's wearing our jerseys on Friday in school, those are all special moments. You can get a call 30 minutes before and be shut down. So I want to make sure that whatever opportunity we get, that we take take advantage of it and take the blessing.
And it's great that you said it because again, I've been fortunate to train and be around a lot of young men, a lot of young ladies, but people take things for granted. Like I always tell the seniors, especially those guys that may not have an opportunity to play the next level. When they're a sophomore, I tell those guys, when it's your senior year and it finally hits you that it's over, how will you react then? Because again, as you know, there's guys, they're on the ground, they're crying, they're inconsolable. So to me, that's because they realize this is it. I've left stuff out and I left stuff on the field. I didn't put it all in. So how do you continue to, again, you have a great system going to get these guys to understand that I know it's times it's hard, but like, how do you get these guys to understand, like, listen, one day this is going to be it. It's going to be over. Like, what is your way of getting that to those guys to get them to understand that every moment counts?
I would say our leadership meetings. I would say the biggest thing we harp on is your commitment and your effort, whether your accolades, all that's out the window. Because in 20 years, when it's all said and done, the person you were sitting next to will judge your effort and they'll remember that too forever. And I always tell them, I said, listen, there's two things that happen. I said, you either have to look in your son's or your daughter's face or a loved one and tell them a lie about why you didn't work hard, or you better look them in the eyes and say you sold out and you gave everything. So there's really no in between. I said, unless you're playing the last game of the season, I said, you either crying because it's over or you're crying because you didn't give it all. So, but I said, however you look at it, it hurts. It just depends on which road you decide to take. But I just kind of preach, base it off the commitment for to each other about the effort that you gave, that you gave it all for necessarily your teammates and environment. You know as well as I do, you guys know, like you're judged by your teammates down the road. They'll dictate your effort and your commitment to the team and the program.
Right. And I think that's big, like once we post this, kids hearing that, because again, it's one thing to hear from you, from the coaches, but like they have to internalize, they have to take it and they got to make it a personal thing because again, we've been through, we're older now. So we're telling kids that from this perspective, again, when you get to our age, how do you want to be remembered? Like some of the guys now, some of my players, every week we're talking and I told them, one of my guys, I won't say his name, I told him, when you leave high school and you go on, how do you want to be remembered? Like, what are they going to say? They're going to say, Darryl, man, I remember him. He was a good, or are they going to say, man, man, he never worked. He was lazy. I mean, he did this, but so again, I think that's very important what you're saying. Every moment, do not take it for granted because just like that is going, because I tell you now at 45, like there's no going back. So I have no regrets. Like, I was very fortunate. I had no regrets. So that's what I preach to these guys. And I appreciate And I love how you're doing over there, because I can see now when those guys leave, that's why your program is successful, because those guys continue to come back, because it's the roller way. And this is how we all came up the same way. And I think that continues to pass down the line. And I think that's why that program is over 800 wins now. So, that's congrats and hats off to you guys for that.
Yeah, just incredible. And, for me, what's incredible is having opportunity to talk to coaches like Coach Erby. Keeps me motivated. I'm an older guy, man, really helps keep me young. And, Coach, really want to thank you for taking just a little bit of time here. Thankfully, it's kind of early on in the week. You don't really have, the lather up for your opponent, coming here this Saturday. But listen, thank you very much for your time today. Wish you all the best. And, tell your kids hi for me, and keep me tagged on Twitter with everything that they're doing. We'll do everything we can to obviously publicize everything your program and your kids are up to. Okay.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate all you do for high school football.
All right. Appreciate you,
no
Coach.
problem, my friend. All right. Listen, Coach, we'll see you later. Take care now.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.